Welcome to the 100 Podcast. I'm Dan, your mountain man, and today I am discussing Season 5, Episode 3 of the 100 entitled Sleeping Giants. So I'm going to give you guys my first reactions here over on youtube.com/doingok. And then once I get my oh my god, this stuff happened out of my system and I watch it again and take notes, we're going to give you a full-length audio podcast, me and Olga, over on the100podcast.com and all the podcast services around the globe. So keep an eye out for that late Thursday night. In the meantime, my first reaction to Sleeping Giants. Man, this is the hardest reaction video to do so far because I feel like I don't even know what I think. So so much happened in this episode and it was a really intriguing episode. Obviously everybody's going to talk about the ending with Bellamy and Clark reuniting. I think Eliza Taylor did a fantastic job of when you see when she hears Bellamy coming and the hope and the happiness and the all the emotion that's coming out of that, especially after just being tortured. And then, of course, big crowd-pleasing line of Bellamy saying how important Clark is to him. Really great reunion moment at the end there, and much earlier than I think a lot of people were expecting. So I really like that, and I want to say I really enjoyed Bellamy in this episode in general. I think the direction was great, and the action was great. For me, the only downside of this episode is that Clark felt not like the character that I totally fell in love with at the start of this episode. And that is a bummer because I feel like everything else worked so well for me. I think the introduction to all the new characters was really interesting. I think the interplay of having the good cop, bad cop, as they put it, of the two generals underneath the commander. I don't know any of their names yet, but I will know it in time for the podcast. I think that worked out really well. I think the new female leader is really intimidating, but also seems intelligent and likable. And I think that showing the sort of backstory through the captain's log was really cool and scary, and really sets these guys up as an intimidating force. But to talk about Clark a little bit. So Clark, my girl, I love you. You're one of my favorite characters in all of television, and I wish you weren't just going on a crazy murder rampage at the beginning of this episode. Because it does remind me of how it was difficult to get on board with Bellamy in Season 3 at the beginning because he went and did this preemptive strike and attacked all these people, and it didn't seem like he had logical reason to do that. And of course, Clark, they push it in the previously that Clark's kill or be killed, we have no choice. But I'm also kind of just okay, they came into your valley and they attacked Maddie after she shot one of them, but it's not like you have a whole group of people and you guys are gonna be fighting over these low resources. It's just you and Maddie. You just assume that they're gonna kill you, and I guess it's okay, she's been bludgeoned by life into being super cynical and not being able to let herself take risks, and this is supposed to be her mama instincts taking over, and she's I will kill 23 people just in case they might want to hurt us. And I'm okay, even though I can sort of understand where to some degree where that's coming from in this world, it just I want to like Clark and I want to be on her side more. On the plus side, I think that Bellamy was really great here. I like that he still felt like Bellamy to me while also making more logical choices. He wants to learn from his mistakes and he wants to do better, but he still needs to be lied to by Raven because he still has that heart in him. He still is the emotional character. He's just trying to change. And I think that worked really well. I really appreciated his scene with Raven. I just thought it was incredibly well written. And, in this world of this ship, that ship, it's hard not to think about ships in every scene between two characters alone. Forget about ships for a second. That was just a phenomenal scene between two characters that I think have been really well written and have developed together in a really believable way, and that they sold the time jump and how much they've connected during that time jump so believably, and I just think the actors did a great job. And to me, that was my standout moment of the episode. I just think that it was really solid. I love the twist. You can sort of see it coming, but I love the twist that Murphy decides to stay back with Raven and then she had lied to Bellamy, so there was no escape pod. Now, I'm sure they'll find some way around it, but I look forward to the Raven Murphy antics up there, and we'll see what else happens while they're up alone with the sleeping bodies. I think all the stuff up in space was fantastic. I love Amori's insecurity. It's really giving her another facet to her character, and she's just really coming into her own. And I think also Echo being able to both be the warrior that she is, but also be able to come up with new ideas, because I believe it was her idea that they use the bodies as leverage. Thought was great. It's good to have a logistical mind like her on our side for once instead of on the opposite side. And just everybody got nice moments. I think it was a really exciting episode, and I loved getting to see Clark using Lincoln's methods from season 1 while he was being interrogated, but also them seeing through that pretty quickly. All the parallels of Clark now being the grounder versus these sky people who come in. Very interesting, and I'm just hoping that maybe now that Bellamy comes back, Bellamy and Clark can sort of even each other out in a way so that Clark doesn't go super off the deep end, because I love my baby girl and I want her to be at least a little bit sane, you know, like a little bit, like as much as possible. Also, fucking loved Maddie in this episode. Like, I had complained about some of her acting in previous ones, some of her lines. Thought she did very well here, and I loved that she was the one who came and saved our space crew. I thought maybe it was going to be Octavia out of nowhere, and they were going to fill in the blanks later, but it being Maddie was really cool. Her doing the, you know, having the bear traps earlier. She's a capable character, and that's not something you see enough of when you have this kid character that the main character is protecting. So I like that back and forth there, where she still needs protecting, but she also can take care of herself and protect other people. I thought that was awesome. So those are my thoughts. I'm gonna have better ones, I promise, in the audio podcast. So stay tuned for that on audio podcast services like iTunes and Google and Stitcher and all that stuff. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and your questions and comments about the episode. So let me know in the comments below, and I'll read some of those on the audio podcast, or email us at the100pod@gmail.com, or, you know, leave us a comment on the100podcast.com, or follow us on Twitter at the100podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you next week.